Good evening. I'm Jean Casares of In Session in for Nancy Grace. Stunning developments tonight. George and Cindy Anthony want their daughter Casey to attend Kaylee's private memorial, but the jail says she's not allowed to go. Also tonight, what was a former defense team private investigator doing at the remains site 1 month before the remains were even discovered?
This is Orange County Utilities Emergency Dispatch. We found a human skull.
Investigators reportedly want to speak with a private investigator who was at the remains site a month before the skull and bones of little Kaylee were discovered. The private investigator, who had previously worked with Casey Anthony's defense team, says he and a fellow PI filmed the visit, and the tape shows Kaylee's body was not there at the time he was in the wooded area.
Do you have the videotape?
I know that they're looking into, they know the existence of the tape, and I know that they want to look at all the evidence that's available.
Investigators also want to talk to the Anthony's private investigator who works with Hoover, Dominic Casey. The defense wants to intervene because Dominic Casey used to work for the defense, and attorney Jose Baez doesn't want him to divulge privileged information.
Meanwhile, George and Cindy Anthony said they want daughter Casey Anthony to attend the private memorial for Kaylee, but it is unknown if the top mom even wants to attend.
My one goal is, regardless of how it happens, like I said, I don't care. I will lie, I will steal, I will do whatever I can to find my daughter. I put that in my statement, and I mean that with all of my heart.
Let us go straight out to Orlando, Florida. Mark Williams, news director of WNDB News Talk 1150. Mark, give us the details.
Jean, is there really a secret videotape of the murder scene? Who knows? According to Jim Hoover, who at one time worked for the Anthony family, sometimes as a security guard, he said he videotaped a wooded area along Suburban Drive, and he claims that the bag containing the body of Kaylee Anthony was not there at the time. This was in mid-November, Jean. This was roughly 30 days before Kaylee's body was found in that wooded area. An SO spokesman, of course, saying that they want to see the video. They haven't seen the video yet. Investigators may also want to chat down the road with Jim Hoover. Also, there's a second PI involved here, and his name is Dominic Casey. He also worked for the Anthony family. These two investigators, even though they work for the Anthony family, Jean, are working on their own.
Well, you are right, though. The Orange County Sheriff's Department is saying if you have a video, we want to see it. We want to see exactly what you have. Let's go out to Jane Velez Mitchell, who is the host of Issues with Jane Velez Mitchell. Jane, why would someone go and videotape when they are involved in a missing persons investigation for a live person to be found? Why would they go out and shoot a forest?
Well, the obvious implication is that perhaps they knew something, and then the question becomes, Jean, who told them to go there? And since they were working with the Anthony family, this Jim Hoover is reportedly worked for the Anthony family at that time. The question is, did the Anthonys know more about this location than they are saying? Did they know there was something up with this location a month before little Kaylee's remains were found? Now, I want to caution that police are not saying any of this. We don't want to speculate. We don't want to jump to conclusions. This is a family that has lost a grandchild. Their daughter's sitting in jail. Their son is troubled by this case, so we don't want to throw more at them. But it raises the obvious question. You know, not everybody is psychic in this case. You got the meter reader going there in August. Then you've got this private investigator videotaping in mid-November. How does everybody get attracted to this one particular area except the authorities?
Well, Jane, let's go out to some video right now. We want to show everybody. This is video, I think we've got it, of Casey and her attorney. But if you look, there's a man with a video camera. That man is Jim Hoover, and that is the man who worked and walked with the defense private investigator at the time, saying, I have that video from the crime scene, but there was no body. So close in time to when those remains were found. Let's go out to the attorneys tonight. First of all, Gloria Allred, victims advocate, victims' rights advocate, family law attorney out of Los Angeles. Welcome. Ray Giudice, defense attorney out of Atlanta, and Peter Schaefer, defense attorney out of the jurisdiction of New York. To Peter Schaefer, defense attorney, the first thing that comes to my mind when I see this, I say, so what? And I'll tell you why. The indictment allows for an accomplice. That's how it was pleaded by the state attorney's office. There can be an accessory out after the fact. It does not mean that the prosecution does not believe that there is a principal involved in this crime. They believe that principal is Casey Anthony.
Well, I mean, we don't even know if the video depicts what people say it is. I think it would be troubling if it was a picture of the scene and somebody was alerted to be there. But it also raises doubt because they obviously didn't get this information from the defendant. So who else is it that knows about this place?
Oh, Gloria Allred, what do you think?
Well, I do think it raises a number of questions, but again, the questions are not necessarily the answer. Because as you point out, Gene, it could be that someone else placed it there. But first of all, we don't know what were the weather conditions. We don't know when that bag was placed there. We don't know how long little Kaylee, may she rest in peace, was deceased. So there are a lot of questions about that crime scene, and I'm not sure about the authenticity of this particular tape.
That's right. To Ray Giudice, defense attorney out of Atlanta, if in fact someone actually placed the remains there, so you have an accessory after the fact, that is a very serious felony. That can be a first-degree felony in the state of Florida. That person isn't going to want to go to trial, are they? Couldn't they have a plea deal?
Absolutely. That could be your first witness that would roll over in this case and probably sew the thing up. One quick question, and Gloria raised them. Was this tape taken at the direction of defense counsel, and is it protected or privileged under attorney work product? We don't know who these guys are working for when they took this tape.
And I think that is a very, very muddy issue, but an extremely important legal issue. Let's go out to Drew Petrimo, reporter WDBO Radio. What do we know about that? Was that video taken at the direction of the defense, at least private investigator?
Well, it's kind of a strange story because at that time, James Hoover wasn't working for the defense, but Dominic Casey was. And when they went out to that wooded area, Dominic Casey says he was going out there for process of elimination to eliminate that area. He said that James Hoover came with him and was videotaping. After after he was done videotaping, Dominic Casey said he needed that video. James said that he could have it, but later when he called to get the video, he said he had taped over it. And then when Dominic Casey tried to get back in touch with James Hoover, he said that he had taped over that actual part, and then furthermore, he wasn't able to get a hold of him after that. So now he comes out with the video and says that he took it of that exact spot and there was no body there. It's a kind of a strange story, and it has people, even Dominic Casey, who works for the defense team, doesn't exactly know how he has that video and why he didn't hand it over to him as he had asked.
Well, let's go to a forensic investigator right now, to John Lusich, a forensic investigator, author of Cyber Lies. You've done many, many investigations. If you were working on a team that was a missing persons investigation, what would it be to your benefit to take a video of a forested area, a densely forested area?
It wouldn't be any benefit to me personally. It would be to Baez if he asked him to do it. But, you know, there's just so many strange things that are going on with this case. You have an attorney that came out and said that, Lee's attorney that said, hey, my client might be charged with this, that, and the other thing. You've got this showing up. You've got Kronk, who goes out there 3 times, doesn't find anything, finds it on the 4th time. I think something's going on. I'd be very suspicious that somebody is trying to build reasonable doubt in an upcoming trial.
So you think a lot of these things are red herrings and they may not be based in truth or fact?
Absolutely, and I think someone's behind all these things, and it may be. I'm very suspicious that all of this is coming together at the same time.
But to Leonard Padilla, you are a bounty hunter. You searched for Kaylee from the beginning. You believe this video exists. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I was introduced to Hoover back when we bailed out Casey in August. And because we have basically a sealed team, we don't allow outsiders in. And therefore, even though he volunteered to help and all that, he wasn't accepted. When we went back this last time, we noticed that he was part of the security or the people that were hanging around the Anthonys. And after I'd been there about 3 or 4 days, he mentioned to me that he had a film that he had filmed when Dominic called him on the 15th. And I asked him, I says, how can you have a film of the area? He says, well, Dominic called me on the 15th, told me Kaylee had been found. Hoover told me that he asked him, is she alive? He said, no, she's dead, but we're going to go get her right now. He then, about 2 hours later, he showed up again. He had this film, 1.5 minutes, but it's not of the exact area where the body was found.